Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Week 9 Monday Night Football Showdown slate on Draftkings. We got Week 9 closing out on Monday night with a game between the Ravens and the Saints. Both these teams coming into this game relatively banged up. There's a lot of injuries to talk about in this one. A lot of guys have already been ruled out or are either like doubtful. So we'll kind of talk through everything on this Showdown slate, break it down, give you guys what I'm liking. We'll go from top to bottom, hit on all the playable options, all the guys that I do have interest in for this slate. But before we do get started, as always, if you guys enjoy these DFS videos, these Showdown videos, make sure you hit that like button down below. If you have not yet, hit that subscribe button as well. Also, check out PrizePicks. They are the sponsor of this video. PrizePicks is a player prop based DFS site. Very simple, very easy to use. You're just taking more or less on a player's projection. Right now, when I'm making this video on Sunday afternoon, there's really not a ton of props up for this Monday night game. As you can see, there's stuff available for Sunday Night Football, but for Monday Night Football, not many props are available right now. But obviously, as we get closer to the start of the game, as we get closer to kickoff, there will be plenty of props to choose from, ton of props you can look at. You're just taking more or less on a player's projection. So if there's any projections that you like, that you see, you just take more or less. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to a 5-pick entry, and you can win up to 10 extra money on PrizePicks. You guys definitely need to be playing over there. If you're not signed up for PrizePicks yet, get signed up. Use promo code NOAH. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And I don't know yet if I'm going to be playing anything on PrizePicks for this game. We'll have to see what the board looks like when it does get posted. I may make a video for this game, a PrizePicks video, giving some props I like. If I don't make a video, I might still post something on Patreon. As always, I do give out more PrizePicks plays over on Patreon. Also give out more DFS content over there, player pools, core plays. Those are provided on Patreon as well. If you want to check out all the Patreon content, that's linked down below in the description. But we'll have to see what the board looks like once they do post props for this game. If there's anything I see that I like to play. But let's talk about this Showdown slate. We're going to start off at the top of the player pool where I think we have 2 clear, good pay-up options on this slate. You got Lamar Jackson at $12,400. You got Alvin Kamara at $11,400. These guys are just like miles ahead of everyone on the slate in terms of floor and ceiling. Obviously, Lamar Jackson looks like one of the better plays overall tonight. Pretty much any Showdown slate the Ravens are on, Lamar Jackson is going to be a top option. Obviously, he's going to be missing a lot of weapons for this game. No Rashad Bateman, no Mark Andrews. Gus Edwards out of the backfield's banged up. So they're missing their top 2 running backs. They're missing their top 2 pass catchers. I mean, it's going to be Lamar out there with a bunch of scrubs, but Lamar's one of these guys that can do it himself. He doesn't need to have a great passing game to put up a good fantasy outing. He can run for over 100 yards. He can get you rushing touchdowns. At $12,400, I know he's expensive, but there is some value on this slate, so I think Lamar is one of the clear top options to go to tonight. And I think the same could be said for Alvin Kamara. We know he's basically the engine, the focal point of the Saints offense. He's going to get a ton of volume both on the ground and through the air. You look at his opportunity in terms of touches last few weeks. 29 touches against Seattle, 25 against Cincinnati, 18 against Arizona. Last week against the Raiders, 27 touches. Like, he's getting great usage in the passing game. He's getting plenty of carries as well. Andy Dalton starting at quarterback, I think, has definitely helped Kamara in terms of his usage in the passing game. We've seen Dalton really target Kamara a lot, 6, 9, 9, and 10 targets over their last 4 games. So really think Alvin Kamara is a good play as well. If I could, I haven't built any lineups yet for the Showdown slate, but I think if you can play Lamar and Kamara together, I know a lot of people are going to probably try and do that, but man, that just feels like almost the optimal way to start your lineups on this slate. For cash games, I think you probably want to be playing both those guys. In tournaments, they would still be guys I'd want to get some exposure to, even though they probably are both going to be really popular. Now, you have Andy Dalton at $10,200. Normally on these Showdown slates, I do like to play both quarterbacks just because quarterbacks do kind of offer the highest floors. But Dalton is kind of expensive. He is over $10K, and he's not a quarterback that really offers a ton of upside. Now, he did have that really big game against Arizona where he threw for 361 yards and 4 touchdowns, but that was basically like the absolute ceiling for Andy Dalton. Normally, most weeks, he's throwing for like 200, 250 yards and maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns. He's not a guy that offers a big ceiling. He's got a decent floor, but I don't think he's a must on this slate. I do tend to like to play the quarterbacks, but I think Lamar Jackson's the quarterback that I do want to build around here. Dalton is playable, especially like if you're building any lineups where you have a Saints pass catcher at captain. Normally, if I'm playing a receiver at captain, I want to correlate with the quarterback. So if you build like any lineups with Chris Olave at captain, maybe you play Andy Dalton in those lineups, but I don't think Dalton is someone that I really would be locked in on playing here. I don't think he's going to be a must. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he doesn't crack the optimal lineup. So while Dalton is still in play, he's not someone that I'm really forcing into my lineups on this Showdown slate. Now, Chris Olave at 8,600, I think is a very solid, high floor option. His target share has been great this year with the Saints. He's been their, he's really been their only healthy receiver. Michael Thomas has been injured almost the entire season. Jarvis Landry's been out for a while. Olave's been the guy that's been, playing most of the games. He's been getting most of the volume as well. His targets have been great, even with Jameis Winston, even with, Andy Dalton at quarterback. It really hasn't mattered. The targets have been there for Olave. He's leading the team in target share, 23.3% target share this season. 8,600 I think is still a little bit too cheap for Chris Olave here. So I think in the mid-range, he looks like a very, very solid option. I do like him quite a bit on this slate. And then you have Kenyon Drake at 7,200. So Kenyon Drake is most likely going to operate as the number one running back for the Ravens for this game. No Gus Edwards, who is doubtful, and obviously J.K. Dobbins is on IR. So that leaves Drake as their number one back. Now, last week in that Sunday night game against Tampa Bay, Drake only got 11 touches, but he was good with those touches. He had 7 carries for 62 yards. He also had 4 catches for 5 yards, and he did get a receiving touchdown. He's a guy that has shown the ability to catch passes, so I think Drake's going to get involvement on the ground and through the air. He's basically a starting running back that's probably going to project for 12 to 15 touches, and he's only 7,200. The matchup against the Saints is probably not ideal. The Saints have usually been pretty stout against the run, but I think Drake at this price tag does make for a solid play here. I think he's probably going to get 10 to 12 carries and probably 3, 4, 5 targets, so that puts him at play at 7,200. Then you have Devin Duvernay at 6,800, and he's basically going to be the wide receiver 1 for the Ravens here. No Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews going to be out as well. Duvernay has not shown like a ton of upside this season, but he's going to be on the field for a large majority of the snaps. He's going to get some targets here at 6,800. I think he's an okay play. There's some guys that are cheaper that I do like a little bit more, but I think Duvernay's definitely viable. He's going to have to be out there because the Ravens are really running out of bodies at this point for receivers. So as the Ravens' number one receiver, I think he's in play at 6,800. Now Taysom Hill, anytime we get a showdown slate with the Saints, it's just, what do you do with Taysom Hill? That's always the big question. Some people say, he's always a great play on showdown slates because he's low owned. Some people say he's like an easy fade. I haven't really played Taysom Hill on any showdown slates. I know last week, or it was the week against Arizona, I think that was a showdown slate, and he had a okay game. He did get into the end zone, had 10 DraftKings points. He had that week against Seattle where he went absolutely nuclear and had 4 touchdowns that week. He's almost going to have to score a touchdown to be worth his salary because we know he's not a starter. He's just going to be on the field for 30 to 40% of the snaps. But they do involve him a lot near the red zone and at the goal line. So he's always a bet to score a touchdown. It's just that at his salary of $6,400, he's never going to be a guy that projects well at this salary. But that should keep his ownership low. So if you want to play Taysom, it's fine in tournaments. He's going to be really low owned. But obviously, you have to know there's a very low floor here. If Taysom Hill scored 3 DraftKings points tonight, I would not be surprised. But he could also get 2 touchdowns and score 15 DK points. So in tournaments, it's okay to go to Taysom Hill. I wouldn't hate it, honestly, but he's not going to be someone that I really have in a large majority of my lineups or really even build around. And then talking about some value on this slate. So we do have some value, especially with so many of these injuries. So Isaiah Likely, he is 5,800. He's going to step in as the number 1 tight end for the Ravens, and he honestly might be their number 1 pass catcher in general. Even though he's going to be he's a tight end, he might lead the team in targets on Monday night. I would not be surprised. He got 7 targets last week after Mark Andrews got injured, 6 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown. I do believe he played a good amount of snaps in that game after Andrews went down. So Andrews only played on 10 snaps last week. Isaiah Likely played on 67% of the snaps. Obviously saw a lot of opportunity after Andrews got injured. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for Isaiah Likely here. The $5,800 salary, obviously he did get priced up, but I think $5,800 might still be a little bit too cheap. I think he should be up there with guys like Devin Duvernay. I think he should be high 6s, maybe even $7K. I think $5,800 is still too cheap for Isaiah Likely. He's a good pass catcher. He's going to be involved a lot. He's their number 1 tight end now. I like him as $5,800 as a value play. Demarcus Robinson should be the wide receiver 2 for the Ravens here. Now, Demarcus Robinson has not really done anything this season, but last week he did get 8 targets. He was pretty heavily involved. He did play on 63% of the snaps. He just got out-snapped by Devin Duvernay, so Demarcus Robinson's going to be out there for 60, 70% of the snaps most likely. He is questionable for this game, but I would assume he plays. It looks like he was added to the practice report, added to the report on Friday, so he got a limited practice in on Friday, which I guess maybe kind of questions his status coming into this game on Monday night, but I'd assume he plays. If he does, he's going to be the Ravens wide receiver 2. He's only 5,600. He's viable. I would rather go to likely, but I think Robinson is viable if you do want to go to a value play here. And then Jarvis Landry, he hasn't played, I believe, since week 4. Yeah, he hasn't played since week 4. He's questionable coming into this game. It looks like he did get some limited practice in during the week, so I guess he has a chance to play. But is Jarvis Landry going to be 100% heading into this game? I would say pretty unlikely. So he's definitely a risky option. You would say, without Michael Thomas, there'd be plenty of opportunity for Landry here, but obviously his health is a big concern. He hasn't played since week 4. He didn't get any full practices in. I'm probably going to shy away from Landry here, even if he does play. Just not a guy that I have a ton of interest in. I do worry about him potentially maybe being on a pitch count. Shaheed, he's been a guy that's got like just a few targets this season. He's been able to break off some long touchdowns. Like he had that 44-yard rushing touchdown that he had the other week against Arizona. He had a 53-yard catch for a touchdown. He's basically just been kind of like this boom-bust wide receiver. He's been like the wide receiver 3/4 for the Saints lately. Last week, Shaheed played on 23% of the snaps last week. He got out-snapped by Olave, Callaway, Smith, and Kevin White. So I really don't want to go to Shaheed here. I think he's kind of overpriced for his role in terms of targets as well. He could break off a long touchdown catch. That always is a possibility. It does seem like he's kind of a deep play threat, a guy they can always look to get some deep balls to. But at 5K, he's definitely overpriced for a guy that probably only projects to see maybe 1 or 2 targets. The defenses, I don't have a ton of interest in on this slate. If I were to play any of the defenses, I think I do like the Ravens defense a little bit more, but I think this is a slate where I'll probably be avoiding the defenses. I just think we have better value. Some of these cheap Saints pass catchers like Marquez Callaway's 4,600, Juwan Johnson's 4,400. You got Traquan Smith at 3,400. In my opinion, these guys were like all dart throws at best. Marquez Callaway was basically the wide receiver 3 last week, or actually the wide receiver 4. He got out-snapped by Kevin White, but I think Kevin White playing on 47% of the snaps last week was a little bit of an outlier. I don't see that happening every week. So I think you can expect Callaway to be like the wide receiver 3. He hasn't really been getting many targets. He only got 1 target last week. He's 4,600. He's playable, I guess, but I don't really have a ton of confidence in Callaway. I think if I was going to roster one of these Saints cheap guys, it probably would be Traquan Smith. Traquan Smith is 3,400. Now, he also has not really been getting many targets lately. Only got 1 target last week, but he did play on 59% of the snaps. He led the wide receiver core in snaps played last week. Played on 61% of the snaps the week before. He's played on at least 59% of the snaps now in 4 straight games. So he's going to be out there on the field. He should be running routes. He's only 3,400. I think as a cheap option, he kind of looks like one of the better values if you're looking for value this cheap. I think Traquan Smith is in play. The kickers you can go to on the slate, I don't mind the kickers. I don't know if this is a slate where I would play both kickers in the same lineup because there are other value plays that look good, but I think the kickers are fine. James Prochet should operate as the wide receiver 3 for the Ravens tonight. I know last week he got some playing time. He played on, 63% of the snaps last week. So, yeah, he was their wide receiver 3 last week. I think he will mainly play out of the slot. He did get 4 targets last week, 3 catches for 24 yards. He's only 3,800. He's cheap. He's going to be on the field for probably 50-60% of the snaps. I would say in terms of target projection, he probably only projects to see like 3 or 4 targets, but at this salary, that does bring him into play on a one-game showdown slate. And then talking about some other options, so Justice Hill, I do want to mention for value. He's going to be the RB2 for the Ravens here. Last week, he got 4 carries for 28 yards, no pass game usage. Justice Hill, I think, will kind of be like the change of pace back. I do expect Kenyon Drake to be the lead back, but whenever Drake needs a rest or needs a break, I do expect Justice Hill to be out there getting some carries. I think 7 to 8 carries and a couple targets seems kind of likely here for Justice Hill. I mean, it's not like Kenyon Drake is going to play every single snap. So at 2,200 as an RB2, that probably will see maybe 8 to 10 touches. I think Justice Hill is definitely in play on this showdown slate. If you are looking for another cheap punt play, Justice Hill is someone that I do have a little bit of interest in. I know Josh Oliver got some snaps last week after Mark Andrews got injured, but he only saw 1 target. I don't know if he's going to be a guy they really use a ton in the passing game. So don't have a ton of interest in Josh Oliver, even though he did get some playing time last week. Do want to talk about, though, a $200 play that we could maybe go to. So Deshaun Jackson did get signed by the Ravens, and he's on their practice squad right now. They said that there's a good chance that he gets called up from this to play this game. So keep an eye on this news. I'm sure we would find something out about this probably sometime on Monday. If Deshaun Jackson gets called up and is going to be active for this game, he would probably be the wide receiver 4 for the Ravens. He's only $200. I mean, Obviously, at this point in his career, what can Deshaun Jackson provide? Probably not much, but he's $200. The Ravens are running out of wide receiver play. Like, they're running out of wide receivers. They need guys to play. I think Jackson will get some playing time if he's active. So keep an eye on this. If Deshaun Jackson is active, I think he's worth a dart throw for just $200. If you're looking for someone this cheap to play, he could be someone we look to, but obviously, we want to confirm that he's actually going to be active for this game. We should find some news on that probably sometime on Monday. But that's really it for the Showdown slate, guys. I think we kind of talked about every guy that I have interest in, all the playable options. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, I appreciate you watching. Hit that like button if you did enjoy. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And make sure as well to check out PrizePicks. They are the sponsor of this video. Sign up for PrizePicks. Use promo code NOAH. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And again, I don't know yet if I'm going to have a video for PrizePicks for this game just because there's not really any props available right now. Once PrizePicks does post their board, we'll see what it looks like. If there's something that I like that I want to share, I'll do so. If I don't make a video, I'll still probably try and post something on Patreon for this game. As always, I do provide a lot more additional content. DFS content and PrizePicks plays are provided over on Patreon. You can check that out, link down below in the description. But as always, guys, best of luck on this Showdown slate. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. Hope the video helped, and we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.